What if I told you that Lewis Hamilton's best performance at Ferrari this season was achieved with a car that had been secretly sabotaged by his own team? What if the very engineers tasked with helping him win were deliberately undermining his championship hopes? And what if the moment Hamilton finally felt in control at Monza was actually the catalyst that exposed one of the most shocking internal scandals in Ferrari's modern history? These aren't conspiracy theories. According to internal Ferrari sources and technical data from Monza, this is exactly what happened, and what Fred Vasseur discovered has left the entire team in crisis mode. Let's start with what everyone saw at Monza. Hamilton, starting from 10th on the grid, fought his way to 6th place, but it wasn't the result that caught attention. It was what he said afterward. Standing in front of the microphones, Hamilton delivered a phrase that stunned everyone. "I definitely felt in control of the car today, and I was really happy with it." For the first time in months, Hamilton transmitted something that seemed extinct since his arrival at Maranello: genuine satisfaction. But here's what makes this chilling. If this was his best feeling in the car throughout the entire year, then Hamilton was implicitly admitting that until that moment, his experience with Ferrari had been, at best, frustrating. The post-race radio made it even more revealing. "Great job this weekend, guys. Solid result. I'm sorry to get higher, but I gave everything." That phrase wasn't just about the result. It revealed a mixture of relief, redemption, and resignation. He had given everything, but something had been limiting him. What Hamilton didn't know was that his improved feeling wasn't entirely natural. According to internal Ferrari reports, it all started with small suspicions after the Zandvoort Grand Prix, where Hamilton was penalized for an infraction under yellow flags. Track engineers began reviewing telemetry data to analyze his real performance. But during Friday's practice sessions at Monza, technical inconsistencies in the SF25's behavior began to be detected. The difference between the configuration planned by the race engineers and the car's actual response on track was notorious. That's when the alarms went off. Vasseur ordered a complete technical review of Hamilton's car. What they found was devastating. Without prior authorization, without any approval from the pilot, the track engineer, or the team director, Ferrari's Central Performance Group had introduced sensitive modifications to the car. But what they discovered next about WHO was behind these changes, and why they did it will shock you even more than the sabotage itself. The unauthorized changes were surgical and deliberate. Alterations to rear ride height, differential preload adjustments, variables that can radically alter the car's balance, braking, traction, and cornering performance. In Formula One terms, these adjustments are like retuning a violin in the middle of a concert. A millimeter out of place can mean the difference between having grip or hitting the wall. And here's the most disturbing part. These weren't errors. According to Ferrari's internal audit, they were intentional decisions executed by a technical group within the team that acted independently, as if they had a parallel agenda. Vasseur's reaction was immediate and brutal: temporary suspension of those responsible, opening of a comprehensive internal audit, and an absolute prohibition of any unauthorized intervention on the drivers' cars. For many, this might seem like just a technical failure, but for Vasseur, it represented something much more serious: a direct attack on Ferrari's sporting and operational integrity. During a private meeting held in the team's hospitality after the race, Vasseur gathered the key engineers and management corps. What happened in that room was described as a moment of rupture. There were no shouts, but there were direct accusations. Vasseur didn't need to raise his voice. The hardness of his words made it clear he was willing to dismantle the team piece by piece if necessary to regain control. The most tragic irony? Hamilton himself never knew what was happening during the weekend. His feeling of better connection with the SF25 at Monza could have been partially real, but it was also the result of manipulated adjustments made without his knowledge. Maybe the car worked better by chance. Maybe it was covert sabotage to study his reactions. No one knows for sure. What Ferrari discovered about the saboteur's motives reveals a power struggle that goes to the very heart of the team's identity. This scandal exposes a brutal truth within Ferrari. There are still factions that don't row in the same direction. Ferrari's internal structure remains one of the most complex and hierarchical in F1. From chief engineers to performance and aerodynamic departments, through the political machinery of Maranello, the team doesn't respond only to Vasseur. It responds to multiple interests, some aligned with sporting success, others with more opaque agendas. This toxic ecosystem has devoured talents before. Fernando Alonso left tired of the instability. Mattia Binotto fell victim to a structure that doesn't know how to handle failures. Now, Hamilton finds himself caught in an internal struggle that shouldn't correspond to him. The great irony is that Hamilton arrived at Maranello seeking a glorious closure to his career, but he could end up becoming the trigger for an internal purge. His experience, work ethic, and history of success don't tolerate the chaos that other drivers might have ignored as part of the Ferrari ecosystem. Hamilton's role has evolved beyond that of an elite driver. He's become a cultural catalyst. His experience at Mercedes, where he helped build a dynasty based on technical stability and internal meritocracy, serves as a model for what Ferrari must aspire to become. Monza showed that Hamilton is willing to get involved at a deeper level. He's no longer just a performer, but a leader willing to confront problems head-on. His serenity in the storm, his ability to send coded messages in interviews and radio communications, and his loyalty toward track engineers who respect sporting ethics give him moral authority that could be key to transforming Ferrari's internal culture. But the question everyone at Maranello is asking isn't whether Ferrari can win. It's whether Ferrari can survive what comes next. Vasseur faces the greatest challenge of his tenure. It's no longer just about finding speed on track. It's about eradicating toxic habits, redefining what it means to be part of Ferrari, and transforming the culture of the sport's most iconic team into a modern, cohesive, ethical institution. The technical sabotage at Monza wasn't an isolated incident. It was a symptom of deeper institutional problems that have plagued Ferrari for decades. Sources suggest that similar unauthorized interventions may have occurred throughout the season, potentially explaining Hamilton's struggles to adapt to the SF25. This scandal opens a door because crises, when faced with courage, can become real catalysts for change. Ferrari has the opportunity to be reborn not only as a competitive force, but as a reference for professionalism within the paddock. The questions that remain are as powerful as they are disturbing. Will Ferrari allow this truth to transform its future, or will it once again let internal intrigue sabotage both its ambitions and its drivers? We're potentially witnessing the beginning of a silent revolution at Maranello. The union between Vasseur and Hamilton could be the axis on which a new era is built, but only if they can survive the institutional resistance that has destroyed so many Ferrari dreams before. The next few races will be crucial. Hamilton's performance data, team communications, and internal dynamics will all be under microscopic scrutiny. Can Hamilton maintain his newfound confidence knowing his own team was working against him? Can Vasseur complete his purge without destroying Ferrari's competitive spirit? The Monza scandal has left an open wound at Ferrari. It wasn't simply another race on the calendar. It was an uncomfortable mirror reflecting the internal fractures of a team that, despite chasing glory for decades, remains trapped in the shadows of its own past. What do you think will happen next? Are we witnessing the birth of a new Ferrari, or just another chapter in cycling tragedy that the Scuderia can't seem to stop? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more insider F1 analysis.